Reading through the Bible in 1 year, June 28th, Deuteronomy chapters 33 through 34, Psalm 119 verses 145 through 176, Isaiah chapter 60, and Matthew chapter 8. Now, this is the blessing with which Moses, the man of God, blessed the sons of Israel before his death. And he said, Yahweh came from Sinai, and he dawned on them from Seir. He shone forth from Mount Paran, and he came from the midst of 10,000 holy ones. At his right hand there was flashing lightning for them. Indeed, he loves the people. All your holy ones are in your hand, and they followed in your steps. Everyone is bearing up your words. Moses commanded us with a law, a possession for the assembly of Jacob, and he was king in Jeshurun. When the heads of the people were gathered, the tribes of Israel together. May Reuben live and not die, nor his men be few. And regarding Judah, so he said, Hear, O Yahweh, the voice of Judah, and bring him to his people. With his hands he contended for them, and may you be a help against his adversaries. Of Levi he said, Let your Thummim and your Urim belong to your Holy One, whom you tested at Massah, with whom you contended at the waters of Meribah, and who said of his father and his mother, I did not consider them. And he did not recognize his brothers, nor did he know his own sons, for they kept your word, and they observed your covenant. They shall teach your judgments to Jacob, and your law to Israel. They shall put incense before you, and whole burnt offerings on your altar. O Yahweh, bless his substance, and accept the work of his hands. Crush the loins of those who rise up against him, and those who hate him, so that they will not rise again. Of Benjamin he said, May the beloved of Yahweh dwell securely by him, who shields him all the day, and he dwells between his shoulders. Of Joseph he said, Blessed of Yahweh be his land, with the choice things of heaven, with the dew, and from the deep lying beneath, and with the choice produce of the sun, and with the choice yield of the months, and with the best things of the ancient mountains, and with the choice things of the everlasting hills, and with the choice things of the earth and its fullness, and the favor of him who dwelt in the bush. Let it come to the head of Joseph, and to the top of the head of the one distinguished among his brothers. As the firstborn of his ox, splendor is his, and his horns are the horns of the wild ox. With them he will push the peoples all at once to the ends of the earth, and those are the 10,000s of Ephraim, and those are the thousands of Manasseh. Of Zebulun he said, Be glad, Zebulun, in your going forth, and Issachar in your tents. They will call peoples to the mountains. There they will offer righteous sacrifices, for they will draw out the abundance of the seas and the hidden treasures of the sand. Of Gad he said, Blessed is the one who enlarges Gad. He lies down as a lion and tears the arm, also the top of his head. Then he provided the first part for himself, for there the ruler's portion was reserved, and he came with the heads of the people. He did the righteousness of Yahweh and his judgments with his judgments with Israel. Of Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp that leaps forth from Bashan. Of Naphtali he said, O Naphtali, satisfied with favor and full of the blessings of Yahweh, take possession of the sea and the south. Of Asher he said, More blessed than sons is Asher. May he be favored by his brothers, and may he dip his foot in oil, Your locks will be iron and bronze, and according to your days, so your fortitude will be. There is none like the God of Jeshurun, who rides the heavens to your help, and through the skies in majesty. The eternal God is a dwelling place, and underneath are the everlasting arms. And he drove out the enemy from before you, and said, Destroy. So Israel... Water, 1 second. So Israel dwells in security, the fountain of Jacob secluded, in a land of grain and new wine. His heavens also drop with dew. Blessed are you, O Israel, who is like you, a people saved by Yahweh, who is the shield of your help and the sword of your majesty. So your enemies will cower before you, and you will tread upon their high places. Then Moses went up from the plains of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which is opposite Jericho. And Yahweh showed him all the land, Gilead as far as Dan, all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah as far as the western sea, and the Negev, and the plain of the valley of plain in the valley of Jericho, the city of palm trees, as far as Zoar. Then Yahweh said to him, This is the land which I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, I will give it to your seed. I have let you see it with your eyes, but you shall not go over there. So Moses, the servant of Yahweh, died there in the land of Moab, according to the command of Yahweh. And he buried him in the valley, in the land of Moab, opposite Beth Peor. But no man knows his burial place to this day. Now, Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye was not dim, nor his vigor abated. So the sons of Israel wept for Moses in the plains of Moab 30 days. Then the days of weeping and mourning for Moses came to an end. Now Joshua the son of Nun was filled with the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands on him. And the sons of Israel listened to him, as did Yahweh, and commanded Moses. And did as Yahweh had commanded Moses. And there has not yet arisen a prophet in Israel like Moses, whom Yahweh knew face to face, in regard to all the signs and wonders which Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Egypt against Pharaoh, all his servants, and all his land, and in regard to all the mighty power, and in regard to all the great terror, which Moses did in the sight of all Israel. If you're reading through this with me, congratulations. You have just finished what's called the Pentateuch. These are the first 5 books of the Old Testament. This is something that most people, when they're reading through the Bible, they struggle through it. They kind of stop halfway through Leviticus or maybe a little bit into Numbers, but you've completed the entirety of the Pentateuch. This is an amazing thing for you. So first off, congratulations. Starting tomorrow, we get into more of the historical books as we read through the book of Joshua about the conquest of Canaan. Let's move on now to Psalm 119 as we close that one out today as well. Kof. I called with all my heart. Answer me, O Yahweh. I will observe your statutes. I called to you. Save me, and I shall keep your testimonies. I eagerly greet the dawn and cry for help. I wait for your words. My eyes eagerly greet the night watches, that I may muse on your word. Hear my voice according to your loving kindness. O Yahweh, revive me according to your judgments. Near are those who pursue wickedness, and they are far from your law. Near are you, O Yahweh, and all your commandments are truth. Of old I have known from your testimonies that you have founded them forever. Resh. See my affliction and rescue me. For I do not forget your law. Plead my cause and redeem me. Revive me according to your word. Salvation is far from the wicked, for they do not seek your statutes. Many are your compassions, O Yahweh. Revive me according to your judgments. Many are my persecutors and my adversaries, yet I do not turn aside from your testimonies. I see the treacherous and loathe them, those who do not keep your word. See how I love your precepts. O Yahweh, revive me according to your loving kindness. The sum of your words is truth, and every one of your righteous judgments is everlasting. Sin, or Shin. Princes persecute me without cause, but my heart is in dread of your words. I rejoice at your word, as one who finds much spoil. I hate and abhor lying, but I love your law. 7 times a day I praise you, because of your righteous judgments. Those who love your law have much peace, and nothing causes them to stumble. I hope for your salvation, O Yahweh, and I do your commandments. My soul keeps your testimonies, and I love them exceedingly. I keep your precepts and your testimonies, for all my ways are before you. Tav. Let my cry of lamentation come before you, O Yahweh. Give me understanding according to your word. Let my supplication come before you. Deliver me according to your word. Let my lips pour forth praise, for you teach me your statutes. Let my tongue answer with your word, for all your commandments are righteous. Let your hand be ready to help me, for I have chosen your precepts. I long for your salvation, O Yahweh, and your law is my delight. Let my soul live, that it may praise you, and let your judgments help me. I have wandered off like a lost sheep. Search for your slave, for I have not forgotten your commandments. Now Isaiah chapter 60. Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of Yahweh has risen upon you. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and dense gloom the peoples. But Yahweh will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. Lift up your eyes around about and see. They all gather together. They come to you. Your sons will come from afar, and your daughters will be carried on the nurse's hip. Then you will see and be radiant, and your heart will tremble and be large with joy, because the abundance of the sea will be turned to you. The wealth of the nations will come to you. A multitude of camels will cover you, the young camels of Midian and Ephah. All those from Sheba will come. They will bring gold and frankincense, and will bear good news of the praises of Yahweh. All the flocks of Kedar will be gathered together to you. The rams of Nebaioth will minister to you. They will go up with acceptance on my altar, and I shall adorn my glorious house with beautiful glory. Who are these who fly like a cloud, and like the doves to their lattices? Surely the coastlands will hope in me, and the ships of Tarshish will come first, to bring your sons from afar, their silver and their gold with them, for the name of Yahweh your God, for the Holy One of Israel, because he has adorned you with beautiful glory. Foreigners will build up your walls, and their kings will minister to you. For in my wrath I struck you, and in my favor I have had compassion on you. Your gates will be open continually. They will not be closed day or night. so that men may bring to you the wealth of the nations, with their kings led in procession. For the nation and the kingdom which will not serve you will perish, and the nations will surely be laid waste. The glory of Lebanon will come to you, the juniper, the box tree, and the cypress together, to adorn the place of my sanctuary with beautiful glory. And I shall make the place of my feet glorious. The sons of those who afflict you will come bowing to you, and all those who spurn you will bow themselves at the soles of your feet, and they will call you the city of Yahweh, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. Instead of being forsaken and hated with no one passing through, I will make you an everlasting pride, a joy from generation to generation. You will also suck the milk of nations and suck the breast of kings, and you will know that I, Yahweh, am your Savior and your Redeemer, the Mighty One of Jacob. Instead of bronze, I will bring gold, and instead of iron, I will bring silver, instead of wood, bronze, instead of stones, iron. And I will make peace your overseers, and righteousness your taskmasters. Violence will not be heard in your land, nor devastation or destruction within your borders. But you will call your walls salvation, and your gates praise. No longer will you have the sun for light by day, nor for brightness will the moon give you light. But you will have Yahweh for an everlasting light, and your God for your glory. Your sun will no longer set, nor will your moon wane. For you will have Yahweh for an everlasting light, and the days of your mourning will be finished. Then all your people will be righteous, and they will possess the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may show forth my beautiful glory. The smallest one will become a clan, and the minuscule one a mighty nation. I, Yahweh, will hasten it in its time. And that is all the notes to here. Let's conclude today in Matthew chapter 8. Now, when Jesus came down from the mountain, large crowds followed him. And behold, a leper came to him and was bowing down before him and saying, Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean. And Jesus stretched out his hand and touched him, saying, I am willing, be cleansed. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said to him, see that you tell no one, but go, show yourself to the priest and present the offering that Moses commanded as a testimony to them. 3 things to note here. No one ever touched lepers, period. You're not supposed to, because you can catch whatever their disease is. Yet Jesus willingly touched the guy. It may have been years since the last time somebody touched him. That's the compassion and love of Christ. Also, what else do we see here? We see that Jesus tells him to tell nobody about what's going on, about the fact that he's just been cleansed from leprosy. Seems like the kind of thing you go and proclaim to everybody. Now, we've talked about this before. The reason for this is because the more people who know about what Jesus is doing, the more people will flock to him and the less work he can actually do, because people will surround him all the time begging him to heal people. Finally, the last piece is that he told the leprous man to go and offer to the priest the present that Moses had commanded as a testimony to them. Now, did it come from Moses directly? Well, to the people, yes, but it was a command of God for what offering you should present if you were leprous and now you are clean. He's doing this to fulfill the law. Continuing on, verse 5, and when Jesus entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him, pleading with him, and saying, Lord, my servant is lying paralyzed at home, fearfully tormented. And Jesus said to him, I will come and heal him. But the centurion said, Lord, I'm not good enough for you to come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I also am a man under authority, with soldiers under me. And I say to this man, go, and he goes. And to another, come, and he comes. And to my slave, do this, and he does it. Now when Jesus heard this, he marveled, and said to those who were following, truly I say to you, I have not found such great faith with anyone in Israel. And I say to you that many will come from east and west and recline at the table with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the sons of the kingdom will be cast out into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said to the centurion, go, it shall be done for you as you have believed. And the servant was healed at that very moment. When Jesus came into Peter's home, he saw his mother-in-law lying sick in bed with fever. And Jesus touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she got up and began waiting on him. Now, when evening came, they brought to him many who were demon-possessed, and he cast out the spirits with a word, and healed all who were ill, in order to fulfill what was spoken through Isaiah the prophet, saying, he took our infirmities and carried away our diseases. Now, when Jesus saw a crowd around him, he gave orders to depart to the other side of the sea. When a scribe came and said to him, then a scribe came and said to him, teacher, I will follow you wherever you go. And Jesus said to him, foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. And another of the disciples said to him, Lord, permit me first to go and bury my father. But Jesus said to him, follow me, and allow the dead to bury their own dead. When he got into the boat, his disciples followed him. And behold, there arose a great storm on the sea, so that the boat was being covered with the waves. But Jesus himself was sleeping. And they came to him and got him up, saying, save us, Lord, we are perishing. And he said to them, why are you so cowardly, you men of little faith? Then he got up and rebuked the winds. And he rebuked the sea, and it became perfectly calm. The men marveled and said, what kind of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obey him? When he came to the other side, into the region of the Gadarenes, 2 men who were demon-possessed met him and were coming out of the tombs. They were so extremely violent that no one could pass by that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, what do we have to do with you, Son of God? Have you come out here to torment us before the time? Now there was a herd of many swine feeding at a distance from them. And the demons began to plead with him, saying, if you are going to cast us out, send us into the herd of swine. And he said to them, go. And coming out, they went into the swine, and behold, the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea and perished in the waters. Now the herdsmen ran away and went into the city and reported everything, including what had happened to the demoniacs. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Jesus. And when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region. Now, quick note on this section. You'll see here that it says that there's 2 demoniacs within Matthew's gospel. He tends to say that there was 2 of quite a few people. We see the 2 here. There's 2 lepers that come up later. There's more that continues on with this gospel that we have. In the other gospels, it's only 1. Now, does that mean we have to throw everything out and not believe it at all? No. It's just a note, something to note in this. That's just a neat thing to have. Doesn't change anything of what's being said. All right, that is it. That is all of the text and all of the notes for today. So, God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. Behold, the word of the Lord.